how to help them to produce quickly. And they really do a lot of things. And they buy and produce. There are brigades on the front line which produce at the same time. So really very sorry if I'm using not correct word, interesting, but it's incredible. So that's why we need additional financing for our Ukrainian production directly to private sector.
Now to Lithuanian media, LRT, Augustinas. Yeah.
Thank you for opportunity. Question for Lithuanian President. I also would like to ask you about, peacekeeping force possibilities in Ukraine. We see that it's hardly likely that anytime soon we can see this coming from EU or NATO frame. Are you willing to take a unilateral decision, like, for example, United Kingdom is talking about? And also I want to ask President Zelensky, looking around you today, around this table, do you think that this Nordic-Baltic region is playing more and more significant role in support for Ukraine? Thanks.
Lithuania is ready and will be ready to support Ukraine under any circumstances. And even now, as we speak, Lithuanian people, ordinary Lithuanian people, are accumulating financial resources in order to buy the drones for Ukraine. So my country is not tired and will be not tired in supporting Ukraine. When it comes to the decision you mentioned, I think we have to answer to the three questions, first of all. We need the clarity about the mandate of such forces on the soil of Ukraine. Are we speaking of peacekeeping or peace enforcement? There is no peace yet, and even the ceasefire is not a reality, unfortunately, so far. The second question, and the answer to the second question is, are we ready to enforce the ceasefire? So the force must be real. The first time the peace is violated or ceasefire is violated, the retaliation must be immediate and strong. Otherwise, we compromise and we discredit the very concept of the security guarantees. And the third question is, are we ready to back each other? Or, in other words, unity is vital. Europeans with the backing of the United States would be ideal solution. Are we there? I have my doubts. Maybe my doubts will disappear in the coming weeks or coming months. At least I'm looking forward to the Hague summit. I hope there will be positive news from this summit, despite all our reservations. So I think the question is a little bit too premature, but when it comes to the training mission, Lithuania is already there. Our experts, military experts, assist Ukrainians to improve their professionalism and fighting capacities. They are there, and we already answered to this question positively. And if you allow me, I will comment my initiative on the date of European Union accession, Ukraine's accession into European Union. This is a matter of political commitment. If we talk about the NATO membership, of course, we understand that not everything is in our hands, and the decision depends on other allies too. But the European membership is in our hands, in the hands of European Commission, in the hands of member state, and of course the hands of Ukraine. And Ukraine is doing really a great job under such complicated circumstances. So I truly believe that it is a realistic date. It's ambitious, but realistic date. Thank you.
One more important partner with us, France, Monsieur le Ministre Benjamin Haddad, Minister Delegate for Europe and Special Envoy of the President. I'm told we have a question for you coming from Union Sayenko.
Thank you for this opportunity to ask a question. I would like to refer my question to French Minister. France has already provided Ukraine with very significant support in order to help to survive our country. Especially you provided us Scalp long-range missiles, howitzers called Caesar, armored fighting vehicles, ammunition, and other vital support. And my question is your country ready to continue support Ukraine for another year? Are you ready to increase this level of support? And my quick follow-up for the President of European Commission and President of European Council. You have already heard proposal from Lithuanian President that there should be setting a date for Ukrainian accession by the 1st January of 2030. Is this a goal of your mandate to coordinate and help Ukraine really become a member of European Union by this date, 1st of January 2030? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, France will continue to support Ukraine for how long it takes, for the simple reason that Ukrainians are not just fighting for their security and their freedom, but for the security of Europeans against the threat that Russia poses for all of us. You were kind enough to mention long-range missiles, the Caesar cannons. We have the first Mirage jets now flying in the skies of Ukraine, as well as the Anne of Kyiv brigade that's been deployed on the ground, and we will continue to do so. President Macron, as you know, is today in Washington, D.C. to continue the respectful and honest dialogue that he has with President Trump to say that, very simply, we support the peace through strength approach. And for this to succeed, we need to continue to support Ukraine on the ground. We need to increase pressure on Russia, and this is why we welcome the adoption of the 16th round of sanction today on Russia, that Ukrainians need to be around the table when their security is being discussed. Europeans need to be around the table, and that there can be no just and lasting peace without robust security guarantees in the long run. And this is where also Europeans will have to step up and take their responsibility. And France is ready in this respect to continue to take its responsibility alongside its partners for the security of Ukraine, the security of all of us.
So to your question concerning the initiative of President Gitanas Nausėda, I think it's a very noble initiative because it shows a lot of political will and an amazing support to Ukraine. And thank you very much for that. The process of accession, we always repeat, is merits-based. Basically, it says there are certain conditions and reforms that you have to do and you have to implement them so that the conditions are right for an accession, and it's good for the European Union and it's good for the accessing country. So that is always necessary. What I want to emphasize is that if you would just only set a date, then it would also mean the other candidate countries would ask immediately for a date and not a process anymore. But again, I really appreciate the political will that is there. I would even say Ukraine, merits-based process, if they continue at that speed and at that quality, perhaps they could be earlier than 2030. So thank you very much for giving the impulse, and let's work hard on all sides really to keep the momentum up.
We're almost out of time, but we have one more question for President Zelensky.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, President.
For sure, Ukraine's accession to the European Union will be the most important security guarantee for the future of Ukraine. And we have already decided that this new institutional cycle will be the institutional cycle of enlargement to Ukraine, to Moldova, to Western Balkans, and we don't know with Georgia. It's a merit-based process, and we are working hard from the European Commission to the different candidate states. And it's very impressive what Ukraine is making. Because in fact, Ukraine are writing a new playbook how to make reforms at war times. And this is very difficult to imagine. But we are very committed, and I'm sure that the different member states, the European Commission, and Ukraine, Moldova, the Western Balkan countries are working very hard to deliver on this enlargement. And we need also to work among us to make the necessary reforms to welcome well these new member states.
El Confidencial, Fermín Torrano. While I was coming here, I met just in the street a Ukrainian friend who told me to say thank you for the billion euros you announced today. And when I said goodbye to him, a question came to my mind, like, how will you explain to these Ukrainian citizens and other Ukrainian citizens, and also to the Spanish taxpayers, that Spain still this year, last year, 2022, is paying more, 2 times, is paying 2 billion euros to Russia buying liquefied gas, and today we are only announced 1 billion to Ukraine. And so I would like to ask you, what will you tell to him, to Spanish taxpayers, because this money is still helping to fund the war? And to President Zelensky, I would like to ask that you said trust with partners is very important. So I would like to know, how do you feel with partners that still pays money, a lot of money, more money than they give to you, to the enemy, or partially at least? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the questions. First of all, Spain has supported all the sanctions packages approved by the Council. And we've been very constructive and positive in order to increase the pressure on Russian shoulders in order to stop the war. Second, you're talking about private contracts, but the political will of the Spanish government, and I would say the Spanish society, is to reduce and diversify our energy dependencies towards other countries. And we have done so. We have done so. Our main provider is now in North America, not only the US, but also Canada. And last but not least, I would say that that we have committed ourselves as Spanish government to devote 1 billion euros for the next 10 years, each year, in order to provide that military capabilities to Ukraine. So, you know, we are supporting Ukraine. We are supporting President Zelensky and his government, and I do believe that even if we're far away from the front line, because we are coming from the Iberian Peninsula, we have also a good representation of the Iberian Peninsula with the President of the Council, Antonio Costa, and myself. I think that people in our society understand quite well the importance of defending and providing this support to Ukraine and its people in order to guarantee that peace and security in Ukraine and in Europe. And by the way, you know, when it comes to enlargement, since we come from a country which became a member state of the European Union back in the 80s of the 20th century, we're always open and very constructive in the approach of the enlargement of Ukraine, Moldova, and Western Balkans. So, you know, I think that, and this is not because it's the political will of the government, it's the political will of the Spanish society, which really feel that solidarity before, when we were, you know, with some problems, And nowadays, when other countries such as Ukraine need that solidarity. And I'm also very happy that we agreed with President Zelensky to open a Ukrainian hub in Spain, since we are the fourth largest country in the European Union receiving Ukrainian refugees in our country, to provide that services not only from the Spanish government but also from the Ukrainian government.
Okay, and one last one to wrap up from the Ukrainian media to Ukrainian president. 1+1, прошу, слово вам.
Пане президенте, ви не раз говорили про те, що Росія насправді абсолютно не прагне миру, і, власне, в підтвердження цих слів сьогодні маємо картину, коли тут об'єднаний світ збирається для того, щоб поговорити про мир, поговорити про домовленості, вирішити нагальну проблему. Росіяни в обличчі Лаврова говорять про те, що ми не проти, щоб Європа була на перемовинах, проте ми все одно не припинимо вогонь, якщо не задовольнять все, що хочемо ми. Тобто позиція у них конкретна. Ви сьогодні згадали і сказали про те, що хочете, аби до кінця року ми мали мир. В зв'язку з такою позицією росіян, взагалі, наскільки вірогідна перспектива такого швидкого миру, хоча б до кінця року, ми не говоримо про тижні. І дуже часто минулого тижня звучала фраза про те, що треба йти на поступки. Для України яка межа між поступками і яка межа між примусом до миру, який може бути зрадою, як сьогодні зауважив ваш чеський колега? Дякую.
Дякую за запитання. Ну, це ж не перший ультиматум Російської Федерації. Я, якщо чесно, навіть не чув, або ті самі слова ми чуємо там кожного тижня. Нічого нового немає. Всьому треба робити своє, треба посилювати себе, посилювати розуміння, що ми можемо зробити в Європі, збільшувати виробництво, посилювати нашу армію, домовлятися з партнерами, безумовно, це без Росії, домовлятися з партнерами про гарантії безпеки для України, тобто будемо готовими до всього. І паралельно робити все, щоб дипломатичний трек, про який говорять і в Європі, і в Сполучених Штатах Америки, напевне, бачити щось, якісь можливості в цьому треці, але не порушуючи Конституції нашої держави і не порушуючи інтересів українців і всіх європейців. І тому тут про це можна дуже багато і довго говорити. Давайте, незважаючи на те, які ультиматуми звучатимуть з російської території, давайте робити своє. Мені здається, поки у нас є такі сильні партнери, ми не наодинці проти них. Я думаю, у нас все вийде. Дякую.
Дякую, пане президенте. And thank you, distinguished leaders. Thank you, press. At this we conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
you.